Step inside, seeker. Tonight we lie awake beside a man who cannot sleep, not because the world is loud, but because the truth won't stay quiet. Because truth, when ignored, doesn't fade, it festers. And in the quiet, it becomes a voice you can't turn off. The law rewards the clever, but it does not forgive the careless. And when the gavel falls, not every verdict brings peace. Some bring shadows, ones you carry home, ones that whisper back. In court, you speak for others, but at night, the only voice left is your own. And when it asks, was it worth it? You better have an answer. The defendant, Damien Rourke, grinned like he'd already won hours ago. Cool, confident, untouched. He adjusted his cufflinks while the jury filed back in, as if preparing for a dinner party, not a verdict. His posture relaxed, expression smug, and then as the words, "Not guilty," echoed through the room, he wept. Loud, theatrical sobs that didn't quite reach his eyes. The courtroom saw heartbreak. Julian saw rehearsal, practiced grief from a man who knew the script better than anyone. Julian Voss just nodded. Not a smile, not a sigh. He was used to winning, too used to it. But across the aisle sat the victim, Natalie Cross, early 30s, former ER nurse, still recovering from the attack that Damien said never happened. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just stared at Julian, eyes hollow. Mouth tight, not angry, not broken. Worse, disbelieving, as if she'd expected better from him, as if he'd been one more person who could have stopped it and chose not to. Her hands trembled when she stood, not with fear but with restraint, like there was something she wanted to say, but knew no one would listen. Not in that room, not with that verdict. Julian walked home carrying praise he didn't feel and guilt he couldn't shake. The kind of praise that used to feel like armor. Now, it felt like a noose, a tightening reminder of everything he'd won and everything he'd lost to get it. He dropped his keys on the table, jacket still clinging to the sweat of the day. The apartment felt colder than usual. Too quiet, too still. He poured a drink, left it untouched, sat down, opened a folder, tried to pretend the weight wasn't growing.
Yeah, trial wrap today. We won. No, I'm not celebrating. Just tired. Yeah, talk later. Maybe I don't need sleep tonight. I'll just read over tomorrow's briefs.
But the lamp flickers, and in its light, the documents blur. Words rearrange themselves. Assault, blood, you knew.
No, I didn't know.
But he did. Maybe not the facts, but the way Damien grinned during trial, the coldness in his voice, the bruises that didn't line up with the story, the look in the victim's eyes. His gut had spoken. He just hadn't listened. Julian bolts upright. 9 swords hang above his bed, gleaming still, each one engraved with a moment. Objection, Your Honor. No further questions. My client is innocent. The swords sway, not with wind, with judgment. He reaches out, but they vanish before his fingers touch. And then a mirror just beyond the bed. He walks toward it. In the glass, not one Julian, but dozens, each one from a different trial, different client, different lie, all staring back, all whispering the same question. Do you really believe you didn't know? He quits the firm. No press release, no farewell, just a resignation letter and an inbox full of silence. Now he sits at a metal desk with chipped paint, representing victims no one else will. He listens more, speaks less, sleeps a little. Still, peace? It's on trial, every single day. And every day he re-argues the case, not in court, but in himself. No jury, no judge, just him and that echo that never goes away. The 9 of Swords doesn't punish you, it reveals you. It holds up the truth, not the one you showed the world, but the one you hide from yourself. It is the card of guilt, of sleepless nights, of quiet unraveling, but also of awakening, of facing what you once fled. So ask yourself, if your silence can shape a man's fate, what weight does it carry? And can you bear it once it's too late, or will you find the courage to listen? Not to the crowd, not to your defense, but to your conscience. If this story made your heart shift, good. That's the sound of your conscience stirring. Tonight, ask yourself what truths you've buried beneath your wins. And if you're ready, dig. And if you've ever looked in the mirror and questioned what you stood for, make tomorrow the day you stop turning away. Subscribe and return. The cards are not done speaking.